like to call this meeting to order at 6:36 PM and January 23rd.
Opening statement, Mayor.
Please.
Let the minutes reflect that adequate notice of the holding of this regular meeting of the Howell Township Council was provided for in the following manner: by the posting of a copy of said notice upon the bulletin board in the Township Municipal Building on January 5, 2018, by the faxing of a copy of said notice to the Tri-Town News as by Park Press and Star Ledger for information and publication on January 5, 2018, by the filing of a copy of said form of notice in the Township Clerk's office on January 5, 2018. The public will be allowed to attend and will be allowed to participate pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Law. The public is reminded that civility and decorum will be maintained during the meeting. Any contracts awarded at this meeting or between now and the next meeting will be required to comply with the requirements of Public Law 1975, Chapter 127. In accordance with the Fire Prevention Code, be advised that this facility is designed with emergency exits for your safety. Upon exiting the meeting room, they are to your left and to your right. Furthermore, smoking is not permitted in the municipal building. Please take note that this meeting is being videotaped for possible future broadcast on Howell Television. Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Here.
Mrs. Smith?
Present.
Mr. Walsh?
Yeah, I'm here.
Mr. Nacastro?
Present.
Mayor Berger?
Present. Is there any reason to go into executive session this evening?
Yes, sir, as mayor. We have a number of topics to discuss.
Okay. So at this time, we'll go into executive.
Motion to go in executive.
Second.
I made the motion.
Okay, thank you. Whereas the governing body of the Township of Howell is authorized pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12 to exclude the public from that portion of the meeting for purposes of discussing specific matters as permitted by NJSA 10:4-12. Whereas the governing body of the Township of Howell intend to discuss certain matters which are deemed confidential pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12. Whereas at this time, the governing body of the Township of Howell cannot determine the time when discussion to be held in executive session will be made public, but will disclose the minutes of executive session when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the Township of Howell that this meeting shall be adjourned to an executive session, and the public will be excluded in order that the governing body of the Township of Howell may discuss the item previously listed, and upon reconvening the public meeting, the presiding officer will announce, if possible, the time when and the circumstance under which a discussion conducted in executive session will be disclosed to the public. Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
Miss Moneypenny?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone.
Miss Moneypenny, no coffee?
It is 7:51,
One moment.
January 23rd, and I'd like to open the meeting. The executive session minutes from tonight's meeting can be disclosed to the public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. I would like to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, but afterwards I would like to take a moment of silence for Jake Honig. He was a 7-year-old little boy who sadly lost his courageous battle with cancer. So I would just like to take a moment of silence after the pledge. Thank you.
Mayor, Girl Scouts? Mayor?
Girls, do you want to come on up?
This is Girl Scout Troop 1024.
No, over here. That door right there.
I could sing. You don't want to be around me, but I could sing.
10 or 11 miles. I stopped in the other day. I was going to come see you because you were on the phone.
Oh, jeez. Can't be on the
Come on
phone
through,
forever.
ladies.
You were, I couldn't wait around.
All the way through. And the flag is over here, so we're going to face the flag, and then when you sing, you could turn the other way, okay? So who's going to start?
Nice.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That was amazing. You did a great job. Thank you for coming over tonight.
Stop.
Thank you. If we would just take a moment of silence, please. Thank you.
I think it was a toss-up between them and Rebel Yell. Them and Rebel Yell, exciting bands we've had here.
Very nice.
I would like a motion to accept the previous meeting minutes
We'll have to separate it because some of
Okay.
us weren't here.
for November 21st.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro? Mayor Berger?
Yes. December 19.
I need to abstain, Mayor.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
I have to abstain. I was absent.
Mr. Walsh?
Need to abstain.
Mr. Nacastro? Yes. Mayor Berger?
Yes. And January 2nd.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. We have a proclamation for the Howell Township School Choice Week, which is January 21st through the 27th of 2018. Whereas all children in Howell Township should have access to the highest quality education possible, and whereas Howell Township recognizes the important role that an effective education plays in preparing all students to the successful adults, therefore quality education is critically important to the economic vitality of Howell Township. And whereas Howell Township is home to a variety of high-quality public and non-public schools from which parents can choose for their children, in addition to families who can educate their children in home. And whereas educational variety not only helps to diversify our economy, but also enhances the vibrancy of our community. And whereas Howell Township has a high quality of teaching professionals in all types of school settings who are committed to educating our children. And whereas School Choice Week is celebrated across the country by millions of students, parents, educators, and schools, and other organizations to raise awareness of the need of effective educational options. Now therefore, I, Teresa Berger, Mayor of Howell Township, do hereby recognize January 21 through 27, 2018, as Howell Township School Choice Week, and call this observance to the attention of all of our citizens. Thank you. Is there any discussion? Any reports?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Mayor, I have a couple things to report on tonight. First would be the SWAC meeting. We received a notice from the county SWAC. Let's see, that was on 1/12, asking us if we could host the SWAC meeting related to resource engineering, which is the solid waste transfer facility on Randolph Road and 547. So we had requested that earlier in August of last year, that any meetings related to that topic be held here. So we obliged, we moved some other meetings around in order to have the SWAC meeting here. So that meeting is this Thursday, January 25th at 7 p.m. So I see a lot of you in attendance today. I see a lot that's on the sign-in sheet is related to the transfer station. So please come on Thursday for that meeting. That will be an opportunity to speak to SWAC, the Solid Waste Advisory Council. They are the ones that hear the meeting. It is not our meeting to have. On the 8th of January, the SWAC coordinator sent me an email asking for the township's latest position on this matter. We drafted an email, or we drafted a letter, I should say, and that letter went out with the direction of the governing body to oppose the proposed solid waste transfer facility. That was sent to them on January 10th, and they received that on the 11th and acknowledged that they had received it. So just to give everybody an update on where we stand, that's what's going on with SWAC. So we'll see what happens on Thursday. I think some people will be there representing the township as well to make sure that, our opinions are heard. Okay?
Thank you.
It's 7 PM on Thursday, and it'll be here, right here in the same room. Okay? I would recommend that. Oh, it's not, I can't speak for the council or the people here. It's,
I'm sorry, but if you want to speak, you have to come up to the mic and speak. So if you would just let us go through the reports, and then you could come up and ask any questions you like.
so that's all I have related to SWAC. The other thing I want to mention is tonight we're going to be awarding a contract for road work. That road work is the ancillary road work needed where the water mains were installed in the south end of town. I'm sure most of you are aware. So over on Oak Glen Road, from 547 to Maxim Southard, also on Maxim Southard from Oak Glen to Maxim Road. That was under construction from about September until about Christmas. The water company is done installing the water mains over there. We are going to come in with our contractor, install some new drainage, improve some things not related to the roadway itself, install some curbs on the intersections, things like that. And then the water company's contractor will pave curb to curb the entire road through all the areas they disturbed. So I know that that's been a hot topic. We've been getting some notices in my office about people asking questions, when's it going to be redone? We can't pave when it's 12 degrees, no matter what anybody says. I'm just not going to allow it. I know there's a lot of experts out there that think they're in the paving business. They're not. We're not doing it. If there's potholes or anything else, we've been getting reports. We've been going out. We've had the contractor fix them numerous times already. Most of the potholes are the contractor's responsibility. If they're not related to the trench, they might be the township's responsibility. Our DPW will handle that. So just an update on overall where we stand, because I see we've been getting a lot of phone calls to my office. So,
Thank you.
and that's all I have.
Thank you.
Remember, a lot of times in the past, Mr. Herman, we had problems because the asphalt plants weren't open? Is that still an issue?
Correct. Well, it's winter. There's usually maybe one asphalt plant in the entire area that's open. A lot of times it's probably an Old Bridge is usually the one that stays open through the winter. Most plants will shut down in the winter to service their machinery. The screens and everything in the asphalt batching plants are very corrosive, and they get worn out easily. So it's an issue where you can't get asphalt, but you also don't want to get asphalt when the temperature's
Right.
less than 40 degrees.
We can't use it then, so there's no sense in it.
Yeah, it comes out, you get a really poor job,
Right.
so.
I remember we had numerous issues in the past where
Yeah.
you couldn't even get the asphalt, or they opened them up for one day for us so we could patch.
Well, we're lucky
And
enough to
it's-
do that when we get an occasional day like today when it's above 50.
And it's usually double the price.
Right.
Or Saturday, when it's gonna be a golfing day. I need to ask a question about Boulder Ridge. I see some preliminary approvals here for sewers for Boulder Ridge. That was a development that was approved like 12 years ago on Route 33, sanitary sewer approvals. Is that finally gonna be built, Mr. Herman?
I would love to be able to tell you. They've been going through the process probably since I've been employed here. The most recent, they did get their final site plan subdivision approval from the planning board a few years ago. They were struggling with the sewer connections. We were making them tie in on Cranberry Road. They have to build a pump station that will be big enough to handle the Route 33 region. So out there where they're located, everything that comes downhill to them, we want to make sure that they build it big enough so that the neighboring trailer park can connect to it, because we have problems there. So they're doing that, and it's just been a funding issue for them. They don't want to run 11,000 feet of sewer main.
I'm just asking a question here. Can it be done where other people that hook up afterwards help reimburse them? I'm just asking.
Yeah, that's a council policy decision you'd have to make, and we can talk about that later. But there's connection fees that people pay. There's also assessments, which we've done in the past. So there's options. We just have to decide what you view the future of that Route 33 corridor is. And it's not a very large area. It's not the whole corridor. It's only from, say, the Angle Inn Trailer Park to Secudis on Route 34 intersection. It's a small swath because that's what goes by gravity downhill to the pump station. So in the future, if you want to talk about having other entities contribute, we can do that. It's just, we need to have that
And they
conversation.
can hook in right there by the diner in Secoutis?
Well, no, if the diner or Secoutis wanted to connect, they would have to run gravity mains from there to the proposed pump station on the Boulder Ridge site, which would be down next to the Angle Inn. So that would cause, it would cost them quite a bit of money to run gravity mains at their own cost.
Thank you, I just saw that on the agenda, and I know we approved it like 12 years ago, so. It's senior development, correct? It went back and forth, but now it's a senior development?
Senior, correct.
Do you have any?
No, nobody else? I have two things. Jim, I thought you were going to take it, but we did meet, Jim and myself met with the county officials to discuss WDI, the old landfill. The county is proposing to put some solar farm on there. As you know, we pay pumping fees, upwards of over $100,000 that the sewer ratepayers pay every year. So with this project, that would be eliminated, and I think that would be a great thing for the Howell ratepayers. So I'm going to propose that we do a resolution at our next meeting supporting that project. I think, Lou, the last numbers you gave us was like we pump, it's over like $117,000, somewhere in that number. And again, if we can make that go away, this has been something that's been going on since the 1980s,
Late,
no.
early 1990s.
Right, late 1990s when we paid for it.
1990s. And I know it's been a bone of contention for a lot of people to make this go away, so this would be a great thing. And lastly, we met with them on some shared service agreements, and I know that we were able to get our prices lowered for salt and brine. So I just want to acknowledge that that was another great thing the
Well, that's
administration was
helpful
able to
with
work
this
with.
winter.
So that's all I have.
Thank you.
The Mayor Gatto had brought that up,
Yeah, it's been
about putting solar on that 6-7 years ago. Just any way to alleviate us, cost us 100 to 150,000 a year,
yeah.
so.
Evelyn, do you have any?
No, I'm good, thank you.
I have a question, Joe, for you. So at the, at the planning board meeting, at the council meeting, we appointed, a member as an alternate one, but we had an alternate two member who's been on the planning board for a long time. And he wanted to know if he can be alternate one, switch the alternate positions, because then he can vote first since he's been on the committee longer. So I didn't know what process, or, I mean, if anybody on the council wanted to do that, or if we could, what the process would be.
Sure, I will double check on that, but I think it'd be a simple resolution and vote to switch their positions, and that's something that we can probably take care of for next meeting.
Why don't you take a straw
Who is
poll?
it?
to
It was
see
just
if
an
you wanna go
oversight.
forward?
It was Mr.
Mr.
Boyle.
Boyles is has been alternate number 2.
Quite some time.
There was an
Yeah.
opening for alternate 1, that's what we named, so if we could just switch them. There was no,
If
there was, it
everybody's
was just an
agreement,
oversight.
I don't have a problem.
Yeah, just
Evelyn?
no.
I have no problem with that.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Mayor, I have changes to the agenda if we're done with reports.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, changes to tonight's agenda. Additions that have been placed on the agenda from the preliminary to the final agenda include Resolution 9A16, support Howell police officers and recognize the efforts of the Howell Township Police Department. Motion 9B7, renewal limo owner / taxi owner driver license, Terrence White, dependable car service. And those are your two additions to the agenda.
Thank you. I
So
guess,
was it 9B7?
9B7 is the motion for the,
Is the addition,
that's correct.
the 9B1 through 9B7.
so is there any, I'll open up for discussion. Do we have a list?
Oh, here,
For public.
yes, I do.
The public discussion.
Hearing citizens.
Sorry. So before we begin, I know that there are a lot of questions or comments or concerns about the transfer station. All I ask is that if someone says something and you get up, if you agree with what they said and have nothing else to add, just say that you agree with it. We did get out here a little bit late this evening. I apologize for that. The meeting inside was a little bit longer than we expected. So I just would like to keep the meeting moving for everyone. Barbara Dixell? And we will keep you to the 5 minutes this evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Barbara Dixell, 62A Piazza Vittoria, Freehold, New Jersey.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, Mayor. Okay, not a lot. I just have 11.1 private land sale. What is that? It's an introduction to something? Who's selling what to who?
What number?
Yeah, I'll take that, Mayor.
11.1.
It's ordinance 18-1, comment 11.1 on the agenda tonight. That is a very small piece of land off of Asbury Road that is landlocked between the railroad tracks and the farm on the corner of Asbury and McGill Road. So the owner of that property has requested to purchase that. It is a piece of property we foreclosed on many years ago. We have absolutely no use for it. It is severely undersized for the area, so
You're selling it to...
we're planning to sell it and to
them.
offer it through the legal purpose. Mr. Clark is offering it to, I believe, the adjacent property owners.
That's correct. Under the statute, we are permitted in a case where there is a non-conforming lot and there's no capital improvements on, we can offer it to the contiguous property owners for sale.
Okay, because I was just wondering why, who, where, so it's going from Howell to a private owner and you're rid of it.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I need to bring up something. Okay, as you all know, Tri-Eagle Electric closed December 31st. Everyone now is back with JCP&L, correct? We're all switched over. I'm getting calls, people I know are getting calls and letters from Tri-Eagle, from other electric companies, soliciting them to be owners and continue with Tri-Eagle. The contract is over. You guys need to call them up and tell them to cease and desist. I'd really appreciate that.
Mrs. Dixell, this is no different than the 5 phone calls I get a day from varying electric companies requesting to lower my electric bill by pressing 1. It's the same thing. I wish I could figure out a way to stop it, but I can't.
Well, I mean, they were your contractor, and they're kind of coercing people into thinking, oh, well, oh, it's wonderful, it's this, it's that. You know, a lot of elderly seniors who kind of, a lot of them don't understand, and, you know, you can talk yourself blue and try and help them understand, but if you guys would like to, I understand what you're saying, but I really would appreciate some action or something by the council to ask them, listen, Howell Township is going to go out for bid to another contractor. If you like the bid, you're going to award a contract to somebody else. At that time, Howell Township residents will have to be whatever you people do. But right now, Tri-Eagle is over with.
Barbara,
Mayor, if I may, we have one of our social workers from the senior center spends usually a day every week or every other week up at the villages. And according to that person I've spoken to multiple times, they work on reversing about 4 to 5 of these a month, where somebody in the senior complex has mistakenly pressed 1 and said yes, and now they're switched over to a new electric provider. One of our people, so we are very actively working for the senior community by calling those people and reversing it, saying that you're preying on seniors that don't know what they're doing, you know, that mistakenly pressed 1 or said yes into the phone when they shouldn't have. So we actually do quite a bit, Barbara, and I think you know that person that's up there.
Thank you, but a nice letter of some kind of explanation.
they're not
Howell
going to
Township
listen
go
to
away.
us. We're all back in the pool again. They're not going to pick Howell residents out of the
Well,
hundreds of thousands of accounts that they have because we say we're not with them anymore.
Okay.
We're just all back in that great big ugly pool again. If I get one a day, I get 10 a day.
Well, I know, but I get it too. They call my house all the time, like, we keep trying to tell people,
I don't tell them anything. I hit on, and if it's them, I hit off.
Mr. Herman, can I
And
ask
that's
you
the
one
way-
thing? I was having a meeting in the village's office
Deal
one
with
day.
it. Okay.
I know you were gone for the day, and one of our residents called up who had mistakenly signed up with Tri-Eagle again, and then got the update about Tri-Eagle being over, and she wanted to cancel, and Tri-Eagle was charging her $125 on the phone to cancel. I know, I called your office a second ago. We were trying to figure out where you were so we could,
But
you guys can.
please
call
understand, at this point, it's a private matter. I mean,
to
it's
help
not,
that lady
it's not for
cancel.
me to call Tri-Eagle to cancel someone's
No, okay.
energy aggregation
All right.
or energy program.
Shame, because, like I said, the poor lady was very upset. So she didn't really understand and know, but she did. Hopefully she got out of it.
Maybe you can direct her to the social worker
Oh, yeah,
that
well, yeah,
comes
with-
once a week and give her a
Right.
hand.
Thank you all very much, I appreciate it, but.
God bless you, Barbara.
Thank you, Barbara.
Something could be done, we appreciate it.
How you doing, love? You all right?
I don't know, sort of, I guess. Trying to, well, I'm growing up,
You're doing a good job of it.
thank you.
Next.
Elizabeth Anderson?
Ronnie trying to drop the ball on me.
Elizabeth Anderson, 8 Amanda Lane in Howell. I'm basically here tonight just I wanted to know what your take on this whole thing was. All of this was just brought to my attention on Saturday when I received this in my mailbox. I live less than 2 miles away from this site. Don't want it there. Doesn't need to be there. I read what I read, and apparently a lot of the, I guess, the garbage or whatever this industrial material is going to be coming from is from Ocean County. Why Monmouth County wants it here, I don't know what all this is all about. I don't want it in my backyard. I have children. I speak for everybody on my block. They don't want it, and this has to be squashed. This has to be squashed. And the way I feel like it's already like a done deal. Like I spoke to, and I don't have the name because I wrote it down and I did all kinds of scrabbles, but I spoke to somebody from Monmouth County, and when I spoke to him, it sounded like he was like, pretty much it was done and how it was going to be, where they were going to drive and everything else. Maxim Southern, Oak Glen Road, 547, 549, Hope Chapel, it's a bottleneck, and they drive fast. It's ridiculous. It needs to be controlled better, too. I live off of Amanda Lane, and I have my daughter, even from Amanda Lane to Lanes Pond Road, they fly through my development doing 50, 60. The day comes my child ever gets hit, my older one is 23, I have another younger one, and I hate it. Even the younger kids, everything. It's ridiculous. Somehow, some way, all that was the roads and everything, they go too fast, and now you're gonna have more trucks. It's wrong, and the whole thing is wrong. And I hope that tomorrow, on Thursday, how you're all against it, I hope everyone, because I'm gonna look for faces, because I haven't been at town meetings in a long time since I had issues years ago with the fire department with cell towers. So I've been quiet and everything else, but I'm looking at faces, and I'm gonna hope to see everybody on Thursday, because I'm gonna be back here with neighbors and a lot more people. So are you gonna be here on Thursday?
I personally am not.
Why is that?
I scheduled vacation. I'm sorry. I'm not entitled to vacation? I'm sorry. I am very sorry. This meeting just came on. This date, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, there's no reason to yell at me. Please. What I'm saying is, I had a scheduled vacation, and then the meeting was put on the calendar. I am very sorry. Postpone it? Would anybody like to pay for that vacation? That is up to the
It's
council.
a county meeting, it's not a council.
It's a county meeting. Because we requested it. So that you can attend. Again, if you want to speak, I will answer everything I can if you come up to the mic.
Okay, so for the information, because like I said, I'm reading stuff, this and that. What is the need to have that there on that street? First of all, it's not even need, Okay.
We
We
did not
have
request
no
it.
say-so. It's it's a
It's already
state
up on-
law. The
already up. The mayor
local
has the list.
municipalities have absolutely no
At the end,
control.
she'll
We have no more power than you do.
So I think
We can
that
object
I
for,
live here and I have no say, but basically you could just do whatever you want. They can do what they want. I'm
It's
not
a state
buying
law.
it. Okay, well, you know what, you have to
you're
fight
not
harder.
listening. Listen, we can do what we can do to fight, which we are. But I'm letting you know that we have no more power than you do.
Well, then we'll-
As a matter of fact, I think if we could please have the MUL, the statute from the MUL, Mr. Clark, available for the,
But if you're putting up a facility like that, you have
We-
to show
but-
the
but
need.
we- but
there's-
we
but
are
right,
not-
But what is their need? What is the big need that
we
they need
can't
it for?
answer that.
We don't have that answer. We did,
Have to present things-
well, that's why they're coming here.
These.
Mayor, would you like me to jump in here?
That would
Yes,
be
okay.
wonderful, thank you.
So, there's a few things. One, the paperwork that you have in your hand that shows a picture of the Staten Island dump is not accurate. It is not a dump. It is a solid waste.
It's not a dump yet.
May I finish?
It's not a dump yet. And
May I-
everything.
Please don't yell.
Ms. Anderson,
Please.
please, I'm trying,
When people dump things.
You ask
things-
questions,
things in
Mr.
everywhere.
Herman is trying to answer what he can.
I don't want to hear about that. It's not a dump. I'm not going to stand here and listen to that. Because when you dump
then-
things, you've never snuck something in ever, what gets dumped, that's why water is contaminated. That's why Tom's River had their issues. And all those kids suffered because people aren't honest. People aren't honest. And I'm not stupid. I mean, we all have done it. We've all
Well, what do you
not
expect us to do
recycled.
about it?
can I
We
explain?
are.
I know what you're going to say. Go ahead, say it. It's not a dump. It's commercial. They're going to bring it out. They're going to.
You have to talk into the mic.
I don't need to be
You
here.
must talk into the mic.
I go home.
So,
I
no,
need
'cause
you
that
here.
doesn't pick you up.
I appreciate you.
Okay, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay,
What you
so
wanna say.
let's just say that the paperwork you have in your hand is not entirely accurate, okay?
Okay.
It is not a dump. It is not like you see in Tinton Falls where they have mountains of garbage that we take and stack and dump every day. It is a solid waste transfer facility. What that means is that there will be a large building, okay, that will be like a warehouse. Probably not different, please don't interrupt, probably not different than what you see across the street at Arnold Steel. Similar probably in height, okay, not as large. I have the plans, I see the plans. So the solid waste will be construction debris, okay? That's what they're getting a permit for, that's what they're applying for a permit for. That waste will come in on roll-off trucks, like you would get a dumpster when you renovate your kitchen. That would come in on a roll-off truck. The haulers would be required to dump it inside the building, okay? That material will get sorted inside the building via loaders and machinery and by hand or whatever else it may be. They will pull out any pieces they feel they can recycle, so things such as wood or whatever else. They will separate that, and they will shred it or grind it on site. So that material will be taken outside into piles and will be ground and recycled and then sold to vendors like they do today. The rest of the material that they cannot recycle, that will not be able to be reused, will get loaded onto tractor trailers. Those tractor trailers will travel up 547, up the county road, to 195. And everyone, I'm just trying to explain. I'm not the applicant, okay, so I want you to understand that we're on the same side here. I'm just trying to explain what's going on. So those trucks will travel up 547 to 195. They will go out to Pennsylvania or Ohio, wherever they have absolutely no environmental laws, and they're going to bury it in a hole somewhere. That's what they do with this stuff. It goes into a mine shaft or something they're trying to fill, okay? So what they have on site right now is a Class B recycling facility. They have the ability to grind, recycle, import, whatever it is. If you've been by it, you know what it looks like. It's not great, okay? You know that there's dirt out onto the road all the time. You know that we have to deal with issues of them cleaning and staying on top of them. So that facility will get shrunk, the Class B recycling facility will get shrunk to about a third of the size of what it is today. It'll be out in the front towards 547, okay? The rest of it will be a small office building to run the office part of the facility, and then a large, we'll call it Butler building, or a large metal building, where all of the dumping will be held inside and enclosed, okay? They are proposing to reconstruct Randolph Road, put curb along the entire frontage, install fencing along the entire property to screen it, install landscaping in accordance with our standard landscaping plan that a site plan would see. They are going to widen Randolph Road to have 3 lanes. It'll be a dedicated right and a dedicated left turn off of Randolph Road onto 547. They will install a traffic signal at the intersection of Randolph Road and 547, and potentially widen that out as well for turn lanes, okay? So these are items that we've spent the better part of 2 to 3 years going back and forth with them to make sure that if this is going to go through, at least we would get everything that would normally occur for a site plan, okay? We feel that there's no reason why they shouldn't conform to a site plan if we're stuck having them anyway, okay? The municipal land use law specifically states that the townships are not to have any zoning power over solid waste facilities because nobody wants them, right? We don't want them either, but that's the way the law is written. So,
I'm sorry,
I-
not in that,
let me
not
just-
there, not there, I'm sorry.
okay, so it's been proven multiple times in the Solid Waste Management Act that all the plans will preempt municipal zoning ordinances and prohibit any compliance with local regulations. So, if at the end of the day, this is not our say, we have no say, we're going to voice our opposition. We're going to say, if you do it, we at least want you to comply with everything. Because when they came in day one, it was literally a driveway in and a driveway out. And they said, hi, we're here, we're going to do this, and this is what we're going to propose. And we said, no way, there's absolutely no way. We actually at first said, no, you need to go to the zoning board for a use variance. It wasn't until we met with the DEP and the county where they said, you guys have no say, sorry. You can do public comment when the comment period comes out, right? But if you have any comments, maybe you should give them to us. Well, we gave them a lot of comments. I wrote multiple letters. I had our planning board engineer review it to write multiple letters, okay, to say, at least if we're going to get stuck with it, let them follow all of our normal regulations, okay? That's been going on the whole time. So we started with a driveway in and a driveway out. We're now up to everything I'd already mentioned, which, if at the end of the day, this goes to the DEP and the DEP oversees this and they approve it, well, at least we got something. At least we don't just get stuck with the transfer facility and the truck traffic and everything else that goes along with it with no improvements, okay? So what's going to happen is on Thursday, the SWAC council will meet. They will make a recommendation whether or not they feel the application should be approved by the freeholders or not. And it's generally more of a formality. As long as they've met the 5 pages worth of things they have to meet, they would typically recommend to the freeholders to approve it. The freeholders will then have to vote on it or decide if this is something that should be sent to the DEP, okay? They would endorse it and send it to the DEP. The DEP now does the whole review. They're the ones responsible for everything, ensuring all of the compliance with our standards, ensuring compliance with the air permitting, with the stormwater permitting, with everything else related to the DEP. The DEP is also the enforcement agency. So if in the future we have problems and someone reports them to me, if it does get built, we have to report it to the DEP. The DEP sends out their inspectors. This is normal in solid waste operations. So what I'm trying to say is, you know, at the end of the day, by law, we have no direct say, yes or no, over this application, okay? It's not in our control. And I think that the mayor and the governing body understands this. They have written their letters opposing it, hoping that that's enough to convince the SWAC council that they don't need to approve this, okay? We don't know what they're going to do. We have no idea what they're going to do. So Thursday is the meeting for SWAC, and then that will be followed by a freeholder meeting sometime probably in February, I would assume. That's assuming it got approved Thursday. So we had, well, No, but we're working on that. So that's kind of the overall summary of everything going on. So what I can say is, if you're opposed to it, come Thursday to let them know. Because these people won't be up there, right? It'll be the SWAC members, which are board members that are volunteers, just like every other board and commission, only they volunteer for the county, okay? And voice your opposition, saying, we don't want it. They know, they've been through it before. They know you're going to say you don't want it. It's just whether or not they feel that it's warranted.
Not. And it's not warranted
And that's what you need
there.
to say.
And I don't live right there, but somebody else's homes live there, but nobody else cares.
If you
because
don't
it's not
speak into the
their home.
mic, it's not gonna pick you up.
I'm done. I
I'm
don't
just
wanna
trying
even-
to, I'm trying,
Okay, that's fine, I'm done, It's wrong. It's absolutely wrong, and I'm telling you right now, you're explaining this all nice about how bad the site is now with the dirt and everything, like as if, okay, they're gonna build a nice little pretty recycling place. Listen, not selling it to me. Thank you very much.
Dave Schultz?
Madam Mayor, good evening. Thank
Good
you for
evening.
having me. Dave Schultz, 149 Yellowbrook Road, Farmingdale. Particularly, I have, I believe, 7 questions. A number of the questions have already been answered, but I would like to have either Madam Mayor or the governing body agree on answers and iterate them yourselves without your professionals. So, number 1, also, I'd like to pose all of my questions and then return to the gallery, and then you can answer, I'm going to call it the gallery collectively on the questions. For the record, and for the benefit of the citizens, can you iterate or expand on your position of objection to the proposed solid waste transfer station? Maybe you could read your, I'm going to call it opinion letter that you've sent over to SWAC, so the people can hear it. Number 2, do you have any insight on the types and sources of all of the governmental approvals that would be necessary prior to the issuance of a building permit for the transfer station? Now, I know that's a general and a broad question. So I'm politely asking, maybe you can kind of fill us in here. And some of this has already been answered. Does the township have its own solid waste plan? Or is that just an incorporation of the county's solid waste plan? Does the transfer station qualify as a permitted use in the SED zone? Does inclusion in the county solid waste plan subvert the master plan or zoning ordinances?
Yes.
Or will they have to be changed to accommodate the transfer station? Now, I know it's already been answered, but I'd like to hear it from you guys. Does the subject property presently conform to the present zoning ordinance? Will the governing body verbally address the SWAC? Now, Madam Mayor, apparently you're not going to be around, so maybe it's up to the council members. The final one would be, could the governing body pass an ordinance to collect host fees? Say if a truck goes in there and dumps, can you say, give me $5 a dump? That's all my questions. So I'm hoping everybody appreciates the answers. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have the letter so we can read that?
It's going to be up on the screen.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you.
No, it's on the small. There's also copies, right? Please.
And that's one letter that we proposed, correct? That's out there for...
There are multiple letters.
There's multiple letters there?
No, that we've submitted.
I know, but I'm just asking what's available for the public to read.
The most recent letter is on the table and it's up on the screens.
But the previous letters that have been written in opposition have been given to SWAC. They are more than aware of our opposition to this project.
Our deputy mayor wrote a very extensive letter a while ago, and I think that's where we requested that they have a meeting here in Howell.
There's been telephone calls made to freeholders concerning opposition to the project. Our opposition has been strongly stated concerning this project, so rest assured that for as long as
If you don't speak into the mic, you're not gonna be able to hear anybody. That's the way it works.
The opposition to this project has not been one letter, it's been many letters. There's been telephone calls, there's been private meetings. Your opposition has been strongly noted to SWAC. However, your appearance on Thursday night will also denote to them as a one-on-one that you strongly oppose this. So apparently, our 5 opinions, should this project go forward, hasn't meant as much to them possibly as your opinions. So I strongly urge that you take advantage of the opportunity to speak to SWAC personally so they can actually see your faces, because one letter that we write, for instance, representing 50,000 residents certainly doesn't resonate as well as your faces in this building that evening. So I just wanted to be sure that you understood it wasn't a letter or 2 letters. This has been a long haul of opposition.
This is not in the master plan, right? It's not in the master plan. It's not in the master plan. To answer the question about the master plan, this is not included in our recent updated master plan.
In any master plan, ever.
Yeah, it's a county master
Right, it's a
plan.
county.
They're completely disregarding our master plan.
I'll talk a little. I rearranged my schedule in life. I was supposed to be out of the state for business on Thursday. I'll be going next week. I'll be here Thursday night. I will be addressing SWAC. I am totally against this project and always was from day one. I thought that this, a year and a half, 2 years ago, when we had a conversation about this, that it was over. I did not know until 2 days before, and I apologize. I dropped the ball last year. I was very sick. My son was in a coma in the hospital, and my mother had terminal cancer and died. So I had other things on my plate. But I am very sorry, okay? The governing body should have been much more proactive. Our freeholders should be much more proactive. Our assembly people should be much more proactive, and our senators should be much more proactive in representing the citizens of Howell Township and their wants and their needs. And we know the citizens of Howell Township do not want this project. Okay, so I apologize. I mean, it breaks my heart. It really, truly does. I don't know if we can do anything about it. And I'm very serious about that. I disagree. We have no say. I think we gotta see where it goes. Believe me, I've spoken to the director of freeholders personally, and I voiced my displeasure in a major way. I've spoken to Senator Singer 4 of the last 5 days, and have voiced my displeasure to him in many different ways and forms. And some of yous out there know me. I don't choose my words real carefully, so I'm really not on the top of anybody's list today, and I really don't give a damn. I mean, I really feel in my heart that this should be stopped. And I don't understand it all. To say we have no say in what goes in our town is beyond me. I mean, I don't accept that. I don't think we should all accept that. Whatever the decision here comes down at the end, I don't think we should accept any decision at first that is not in the favor of this project not going forwards. And that is me. Now, God willing, I'm only gonna be up here so long, okay? But I am against this project, was from the beginning, and did not know that it was going forward, no matter what anybody thinks, till 2 days before the freeholder meeting, when Deputy Mayor Nicastro called me and told me that there was a freehold meeting about this being approved. Okay, I was taking care of my son, who had been hospitalized for a few weeks. I have an autistic child, and we went to that meeting, and the freeholder stopped that meeting that day. And any users that were there, you know. I mean, I don't know where this is going, but I know that the citizens of Howell Township, many of them who I've talked with, have been friendly with for the last 23 years of my life. I've lived here since 1993. I mean, they don't want this. And we should have a say in what comes in our town and what goes in our town. And I'm not saying, listen, I know nobody wants nothing in their backyard. But if they need a dump, let them go put it someplace else. And I agree wholeheartedly that it can sound like something that's going to smell like perfume. And we all know anything that has anything to do with dumping is not going to smell like perfume too long. We all know the truth. You know, all of you, though, get on the stick with your freeholders. I mean, well, we know we've received 16, 17, 1,800 emails, because every signature that was signed got emailed to members of the governing body. Well, you need to send those emails to your freeholders and let them know your displeasure. I have said to them, our freeholders right now live in Homedale, Colts Neck, Middletown, and Neptune City. And I've told them all that if this was being put in their town, they would all be against it. Okay? So you got to let them know your displeasure. All right? They're going to try to say the same thing. Nobody has jurisdiction. That's unacceptable. Okay? That is unacceptable. So you let your senators know, you let your assemblymen know, you let your freeholders know. Your governing body's heard you loud and clear. And nobody up here thinks you're wrong. Nobody up here. So don't look and say, well, the enemy's up there, or watch any of these blogs and say the governing body's all for this and it's a done deal. The governing body's not for it. And I don't believe it's a done deal. And if you just want to keep on fighting it, I will guarantee you this. As long as I am up here, I will fight it along with you. That's all I can tell you.
Have we answered all of the gentleman's questions?
No, you haven't. Where's everybody else? I'm against it.
What does that mean, where's everybody else?
We're all against it. I'm against
The
these
letters
letters
from
up
the
here.
council, everybody's against it. I just want to add a couple of things. I did receive, and I did speak to the legislators, our senator and our assembly. They have committed, not only writing, not that they've written a letter opposing this, but they also are seeking to amend the state law that gives local communities more say in the approval process. So that's also something that people need to do, is to reach out to the body that permits this to happen, and that's the legislators. You know, listen, we get it up here. Everybody wants to come here and tell us to fight for you, which we're willing to do, but 5 people cannot fight for 50,000 people alone. So you have to write your legislators. You need to be informed. You get misinformation from a lot of literature. We get it. You know, we know where it's driven from. But if you're going to do it, you have to listen to us. We have to do this together. You have to write the legislators. You have to be here to let the freeholders know, which in reality, all they do is say whether this master plan, solid waste master plan, gets amended. That's the process of the freeholders. Okay? And then as Mr. Herman said, it goes to the state DEP, who has the final say. So we did receive a lot of petitions. Guess what? They came to us. They didn't go where they should have went. They didn't go to the county freeholders. They didn't go to the state legislators. They didn't go to DEP. And those are the decision makers, not us. in this process. So forward them?
Who? Come on up. Nobody can hear you if you don't go on the mic.
When we get hundreds of petitions, okay, I can't sit, listen, we all run businesses, we all have jobs, we all have things to do, you know? I'm telling you that accountability, responsibility also falls within the residents. You need to forward them to the correct people, and that's the state, and that's to the county freeholders. So you could disagree with me. The mayor said, the council said, SWAC meeting is going to be here because we requested it, because that's what the residents asked us to do. They wanted to make it convenient. That's the meeting that's going to be here. So we reached out to the legislators. They did commit that they were going to seek some legislation to amend it so that townships have more say in the process. I will be here Thursday, joining Councilman Walsh and whoever else decides to come here. And I'm going to tell you another thing. Don't ask me to show my hand what I'm going to say. That I'll do that night. But the bigger the crowd, the better, I believe, so.
And I just want to reiterate, this is not the initial letter that was sent. It was back, I guess it was towards July or
summertime.
August. And, you know, I was not in New Jersey. I sent a letter out, and the council sent a letter out. There've been multiple letters that are sent out. We've not been just idling by. We live here also. We know we don't want it here.
My name is Catherine Moore. I live at 757 Oak Glen Road, right around the corner from Randolph, right there. And I know you wrote a letter, you were on vacation, because I read that in the news. And I know about Senator Singer. But you have to understand how we all feel. And I know you say you're against it. I understand. It's the DEP, a state agency. But what seems kind of shady is that a former county employee, Claire French, submitted this application. This is shady for us.
She wasn't an employee.
Property, they own the
She was an elected
property.
official, she wasn't an employee, just for your,
Let her have this on her backyard in Howell Township, okay? Let her have this transfer done.
she lives in Howell, doesn't she?
No, she lives in
Can I tell you
Wall,
something?
think. But you have to understand how we feel. Listen, you know, we're middle-class working people, just like you guys. You know, we put everything we got into our homes, our families, okay, our neighbors, our community. And to have something like this right around the corner from us, and not even so much as a notification from the town. You know how I found out, and my husband? My neighbor, we got her mail by mistake. We took it over to her on a Sunday. It was in the Sunday Ledger. We had no idea this was happening around the corner from us, okay? You talk about what they've been approved for to have here at the waste transfer station, right?
They haven't been approved for anything.
Oh, I know, but what's supposed to be there, okay? With the construction debris and the appliances. Have you ever heard of a concrete crusher? Do you know what that sounds like? And it's supposed to be open from 7 a.m., Monday through Friday till 5. And then on Saturday. Where's our quality of life in Howell Township? I pay a lot of taxes to live in this town. I love Howell. I love the police department. Where I live, I have a circular driveway, and I let the police department park there because I can't even check my mail because of the way people speed through there to go to Squonkam. Can you imagine now what's going to happen with these trucks? The backup beepers, beep, 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 when they back up, and trucks coming to dump, and then another truck coming to pick up. How are they going to widen Randolph Road? You got Arnold Steel there. How's that going to happen? How's Squonkam going to happen? Everybody's going to cut through my street. My street. Microphone.
Just give it a second.
I'm sorry.
You know, seriously.
Look,
we
I
really-
know
we
you
really
all,
do.
listen,
Yeah, we really
I
do.
understand, you know, and I understand you have to do your job, Mr. Herman. But you know, this is our neighborhood. I'm a New York native, you know? When I have to go through Staten Island to get into New York to visit family, when Arthur Kill Road was open, I had to hold my nose just to go down 5 miles. I don't want that around the corner from my house. The noise, you know, the brats that are gonna come, you know? And what is that gonna do to our property values? It's gonna reduce our property values by 20 to 25%. I researched that online. Any neighborhoods that are around facilities like that, property value goes right down the tubes. You know, I'm not a young person here, you know? I'm not a spring chicken.
Under 30?
Yeah, on each leg maybe. But you have to understand, you know, please, you have to understand how we all feel about this. We're
We
very
understand.
passionate about
You
it.
have to
It's
tell
our
them
home.
On Thursday, you have to tell the freeholders.
That,
We understand. This is our home.
Ms. Moore, I really, I don't know how I can express to you and everybody else here in the gallery, so to speak. We don't want this to happen. We might be sitting up here in a calmer fashion, but that's what we'd have to do.
oh, I know. And I understand that the DEP is the state, and the state overrides you guys. I get it. But how can someone put an application like that when you look at that property? It's not big enough for that. It's not big enough to put a 28 or 25,000 square foot building and then another storage facility for equipment.
You've hit on a very good argument.
I mean, that is
Yes, that's what I'm
ridiculous.
saying.
You've hit on a good argument. They don't have room
They don't.
for the backup of the trucks that are coming.
And that's what SWAC will have to look at during the application
And that's a very
process.
good argument. The traffic, what it's gonna do to our roads, the two-lane
Absolutely.
roads.
The noise.
Well, the noise is a quality of life.
Absolutely.
But I'm talking about the physical arguments that they're going to listen to.
Yeah.
And I think the heavy traffic is one. It's not large enough for the backup, so that what are those trucks gonna do? They're gonna park out on Randolph Road? What's
Yeah.
gonna
It's going to
happen
be a
there?
backup. Listen, there are
So,
times.
those are the things that I think if you argue those things before SWAC, you're the people that are out there. You're the ones that are gonna have to have those trucks, in your way. And the safety factor. Argue the safety, argue the trucks.
Absolutely.
Please.
The noise,
not
the
just that you-
safety. It's just unbelievable that,
Are you ready for the fight just to begin?
oh, I'm in it, honey.
Okay, because
I'm
this
in
is the
it.
beginning. This is the beginning right now. The end game isn't Thursday night.
No, I'm going to be there
Okay,
Thursday.
but
I'm
the end
going to be
game's not
right here.
Thursday.
I'm going to be here Thursday.
Okay.
And any other meeting after that.
All right, just so you know, the end game isn't Thursday, okay? Members of this governing body will fight with you all. Look, I've been losing sleep, waking up the middle of the night, 1:30, 2 o'clock, taking a sleeping pill and going back to sleep at 4. This sickens me. It sickens me. It really, truly does, okay? I know what the people in Howell Township want, and I think that they should have a right. Now, mind you, nobody wants anything in their backyard. But if they need a dump for someplace else, let them put it there. You don't need to put it in Howell,
It shouldn't
okay?
be near a
It's
neighborhood.
that simple. There's nothing complicated about that, all right? I'm sure right now that if I was going to put a dump in Wall, there'd be a lot of people against it.
Absolutely.
In a major league way. The residents of Wall, legislatures that live in Wall,
Yeah.
they would all be against it, okay? Well, you gotta get them to come and voice their opinion, all right? That's who you gotta get. I mean, politicians fear one thing, people, not getting elected.
That's
They don't
right.
fear much else, all right? So, you
I
know
do
what?
have
I'm
a
tired.
question.
I'm tired, but the fight's just about to begin over this.
Let her ask her question.
I just have a question, and you're probably the person that's qualified to answer this. But I'm sure there's criterias that this facility has to meet with the DEP to be able to be operable. What is it, 17, 20 criterias? Have they met every single one of those criterias? Is it the only thing that is outstanding that probably has to be approved? Is it the widening of Randolph Road? What's going to happen with Squonkam? A light?
No, the criteria you're saying are two different things. So the criteria to meet SWAC has nothing to do with the criteria to make the township happy. So the SWAC criteria is let's say, a list of items that they have to meet, you know. Did they give you the name of the property owner? Did they give you the
Right.
people that are actually going to run it in the background?
Right.
Did they give you the name or the size of the property? It's basic stuff. Any engineer can provide it. So it's not like it's complicated to provide. This stuff was requests that we made, should it go through, to make sure at least it's handled the way we want it to be handled. So you had said things about traffic. Well, traffic is one of those things that the DEP can control, okay? Now, whether or not they enforce it, but we can actually ask the DEP that they can only use 547, okay?
So they
That'll
won't
be-
come down my street, is
Correct.
what you're saying.
Well, that'll be part of the plan. So what happens is you request that to SWAC and to freeholders, eventually to DEP, and the DEP will write in there that in the plan, they can only utilize Route 547 to enter and exit the site. They have to come from 547 in and from there out onto 547.
But who's going to enforce that?
And that's what I just said. It's all about enforcement. So that's part of their plan. What they don't want is they don't want the DEP to come out and shut them down. So if we come out and say, hey, look, I put a cop out there, or I went out and sat out there and sat on the corner on Brook and Oak Glen, or, Oak Glen and Randolph, and sat there and just trail everybody that drives down the street and goes right in and makes a left into this site, well, guess what? Then I call the Board of Health. The Board of Health comes out because they're the enforcement agency for the DEP, and they say, we're pulling your permit. Goodbye. Shut it down, right? That's what has to happen. So you and I both know how many trucks are coming down Arnold Boulevard anymore, right? They're using it as shortcuts, and we have to look at that too. But that's part of the things you can ask for. It's like when you go to the planning board and it's a permitted use, you can't really stop it. But what you can do is make reasonable requests to the applicant to see if they'll do it. So if you're the neighbor, you don't want to see them, what do you ask for? You want to ask for an 8-foot wood fence instead of a 4-foot fence, so you don't have to see them. Those are the things that if you ask the applicant, they might just agree to. By law, you can't force them to, but you might get them to agree to it because they want approval, right? So you have to play that game. And I'm not saying that you want to come here Thursday night and say, well, we want this, we want this, we want this. You want to say you don't want it at all.
Right,
Right.
I don't want anything.
Right.
I don't care.
But if you
if
do,
they sugarcoat it
you
with
want
a
to make
light, I don't want
sure
anything.
that they're not coming up your road.
Right. I don't want that.
Because they don't want to go down County Line Road, right?
Right.
They want to skip County Line Road, they want to shoot up
Absolutely.
Brook and make the shortcut, because we all know what the road conditions are in Ocean County. You think the road conditions are bad in Howell, just go down to Lakewood,
Oh, yeah.
right? So it makes us look good,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
A
So,
lot of people want to speak. Can we please go forward?
well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Claudia Malik?
Good evening.
Good evening.
you can move the mic there. please.
Okay. I noticed nobody touched on environmental.
Yeah,
Environmental.
I'm sorry, if you just state your name and address.
Oh, I'm sorry. Claudia Malik, 91 Vienna Road. Right around the corner from this facility. Nobody mentioned anything about environment. I've listed many ponds and creeks and brooks that are in that area. I'm going to read them off. If there are any others, let me know. They are Dix Brook, Muddy Ford Brook, Haystack Brook, Polypod Brook, and they all branch off into the North Branch Matita-Conk River, which flows into the Barnegat Bay. Also, there is a beautiful pond right on Randolph, and matter of fact, they call it Arnold's Pond. All the kids go fishing there. There's fish in there. Also, I'm also going to probably bring this up on Thursday evening as well. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the dumps in Jackson in 1972, the Legler dump. That was a waste also facility, and waste got into the well water, and lots of people got some sort of cancer. Many children had gotten cancer that children normally don't get. The dump, most of it was asbestos. So you're saying that it's going to be building debris that's going to be coming to this waste? Building debris?
Yes, it's type ID 13 solid waste, and ID 13C, which is bulky construction debris.
Okay.
That's exactly the term that the DEP
Okay.
uses.
Well, building debris, asbestos, same thing. The cancers or lesions, tumors, some other forms of cancers that will generate into other cancerous conditions. It also stated that it took some time for some of these people to get some of these things, but they were all similar. And it was all within, I would say, a couple miles from this dump. It did get closed down in 1983, I believe it was, so it didn't even stay open that long. I'm just afraid, I have children, and I'm afraid of this. I have a well water. We all have well water. And I'm afraid that, again, somebody says, yes, I'm bringing in wood, and then let me slip in this asbestos, let me slip in this, let me slip in that. Nobody's going to say, yeah, give me $5, go ahead, dump it. I'm scared for that. So, and also, I'm concerned about traffic. This site is not big enough to have this kind of traffic. I mean, we all went through with the water lines that got put in on 547, and the traffic was redirected down Randolph Road. I saw a tractor trailer jackknife from Oakland making a right-hand turn because it was icy too, but he couldn't make that swing because the roads are not wide enough. So we're talking, what, 50-foot, am I right, 50-foot tractor trailers? 60? Okay. How in the world is that going to work?
This is what you have to say
I know,
Thursday.
trust me, I get that, but I just want to throw that in there. I will be here Thursday. I'm also, let's all keep in mind, 547 is also where our school buses are. Oak Glen, so these giant tractor trailers with debris on them are going to be using the same roads our children are going to be using. I am scared to death. That's all I have to say, and I will be back on Thursday. The same stuff is on here that everybody else mentioned. Thank you.
And don't forget, you have to go to the freeholders, go to the freeholders meetings en masse.
I am.
And don't wait for one that this is scheduled to be on. Go to all of them.
Brandon Rio?
Hello, everybody. My name is Brandon Rio. I live on the corner of Oak Glen Road, Brook Road, and Lakewood Allenwood Road. I'm right on the full frontal involved with this thing. The good lady from Vienna, I think it was, or maybe Oak Glen, mentioned that our property values are going to drop. For me, it's going to drop because at this point, I'm dealing with what this Doug French's property and his activities today are handling. I have tractor trailers, dump trucks, container trucks coming down with their engine brakes. Every half hour, I get an engine brake. I've actually physically walked out there and flagged them down, asking them not to use their engine brakes because I'm on that corner. I mean, I get every truck that comes down, that either goes down Brook Road or heads up on, then to make the turn to go down Arnold Boulevard. And that's where they pick up some speed when they get to the end of that road. Forget about it. I feel really sorry for anybody who lives down the end of that one.
Yeah, I got a 6-year-old and now scared to death.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been here in the past, nothing ever got done.
Listen, I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning with dump trucks flying down there. Okay? Okay, so you, the good man, Mr. Herman, community development, is that what you do?
Correct.
Okay. All right. You mentioned that you've expressed your concern about where these trucks are going to go, the condition of the road, how wide it's going to be, where you're going to direct the traffic to, okay? Well, these are only your opinions, and from what I'm gathering from all of you, it doesn't matter what you say. Am I right or wrong here? It's really, they're going to make their own decision no matter what, right?
They're going to make their own decision, but we want to make sure if they do make the decision in the affirmative, that we get the conditions we want to limit stuff like this. So limit truck traffic, right? We only want truck traffic on the county road.
How are you going to limit it? You're talking about a truck every, what, 15 minutes coming in and out of there? Okay, now, I've also heard some stories about how they're going to have this big, beautiful, you call it a Butler building. They're only supposed to operate with the doors closed. Well, listen,
How do you get in there?
if you got a truck coming in.
You gotta open the door.
They got to open the door, okay? And then they got to open the door to let the truck out, and then they got to open the door to let the next truck in, to take out the stuff the first truck put in.
I don't think there's ever been a requirement they have to close the door.
Well,
It
okay.
just has to be dumped inside.
Inside, big deal.
Right.
All right, so then we're talking about environmental, okay? Some folks already brought up the sound factor, concrete crushers, wood grinders. You're going to have dust, sound pollution, okay? Vermin will no doubt be on the increase there. Asbestos dust in the air, because we are talking about construction debris.
I'm
Right,
sorry.
right. It's adjacent to the south branch of the Matitaconk. Their runoff is going to go into the Matitaconk River, okay? All right?
So
now-
that's a very important factor to say. That's very important, though.
I'm on the Kilhancy Aquifer, okay, which runs exactly west to east. Well, if you look at a map, I am exactly east of that operation. Now, I haven't said anything because of the French company running what you call the messy operation. Listen, well, let's all face it, okay? We're talking about trees and dirt, okay? It's all organic. It's relatively clean. It's natural, okay? It's organic, okay? So besides this guy not telling his people to turn off his engine brakes and maybe channel all his traffic somewhere where they won't be disturbing people, it's a relatively clean operation. So we're not comparing apples with apples here at all. I mean, what these guys are going to do is completely different. You're talking about metal crushers, glass recycle, God knows what. How are they going to control the dust? I happen to be a contractor. I've done a lot of work at the Ocean County recycling place, the one over there where the hell is it? I can't even think here. Anyway.
Just so you're aware, the materials that they're going to keep, the Class B materials that we were talking about before, are wood recycling, which is what they do now.
Right, well, that has to require shredding.
And one small area for concrete. That's it. There's going to be no other, everything else is getting.
You ever hear a small concrete crusher?
No, they're limited on the size they can utilize.
Okay, they still got to crush it. They're gonna reduce it to our blend to make highways, and they're gonna sell it to somebody.
Probably.
Okay, well, that requires a crusher.
Correct.
Okay, a noisy, dusty crusher. Okay, all right. Now I have a Google map here. Personally, I'm speaking for myself, but I think I'm talking for everybody in the room here. According to Google, I'm exactly a 12-minute walk away from this thing, okay? I'm like up the street from it. I'm there. And I'm going to see, hear, and smell everything, okay? This one is going to affect me. So, okay, so then you guys say something like, all right, I'm not going to let them drive their car down, or their trucks down to the end of out to Brook Road so they can mess up the lives of everybody down the other end. I'm still going to be affected by the sounds. Okay, so what are you going to do? You're going to tell them all to go up Squonkam Road? Has anybody been on Squonkam Road in the morning to try to get out to 195? Anybody?
Yes, sir.
We all know what it's like. The road is grossly undersized. It's not set up for that kind of volume.
Excuse
Okay?
me, Mayor, it's
So-
been 5 minutes.
Okay, so one last point. So okay, we know that Squonkam Road is not a viable way. They're not going to go through Lakewood either, so they're going to get to the corner over by Barney's over there, and they're going to love that. They're going to come by me and make me miserable, and everybody on my end of the street up on Arnold Boulevard, okay? Or they're going to go up, Oak Glen Road, or I'm trying to think of the other one, Vienna Road, right? Right? Exactly. So, those are all local and very, the other road is called something else, wait a minute. Alexander. Now, those guys are dead ringers. You know why? Because that's the shortest way to get to Route 9. And that's totally residential. Though I feel sorry for them because that's the quickest way into Route 9. You know how many trucks are going to wind up making their lives a total mess? We really need to end this thing as soon as possible. Now, I'm happy to hear, Sir, Councilman Walsh, and all you other folks that you're all opposed. I'm disappointed that our mayor won't be there. I got to tell you that.
I'm very sorry.
Well, you know what? You're like the most powerful person in our town. You're not going to be there. I mean, that's.
Well, I doubt that I am the most powerful. I think we
Well,
all
you're a
share
mayor.
that.
You're the one who runs the place,
I
right?
am very sorry. This is a vacation that was planned way in advance.
Listen, you know.
Like I said, if you want to pay for the vacation, I'll be more than happy
You know
to
what?
change
I
it.
bet you if we took a collection today, we'd have no problem doing that.
I'll throw in 100.
There you go.
I'll throw in the first 100.
All right, well, thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys on
See you Thursday night.
Thursday. Thank you.
I'm going to torture this last name. I am very sorry. It's Kim and John Wyzins.
They're gonna wait.
They're gonna wait?
Yeah.
Paulette Brandon?
Well, I brought out.
Bradow, I'm sorry.
Like the window. Paulette Brado, Winding Brook Mobile Home Park. The only entrance and exit to that mobile home park is 547.
If you just pull that closer towards you. Thank you.
The only entrance and exit roads in Winding Brook are on 547. So I will not be able to get to my trailer unless I stand in the middle of the road with a stop sign to keep the trucks from moving. I agree with everything that's been said with regard to the traffic. Has anything been said about vermin and feral animals that will hide out in that area? We have enough feral cats and foxes and skunks that hide out in there. Has anyone checked what the noise level is going to be set at? Has the EPA decided? No. So there's, if I were to blow a trumpet from my trailer, I would be getting calls every day for noise pollution. I'm also a cancer survivor. Just the air in that area would kill me. I originally came from Farmingdale. They have a recycling center there. 2 dead babies have been found there. How many dead babies are we going to find in the crusher on that facility? When people sneak things into recycling that shouldn't be there. I agree with everything that's been said today. I'll be here on Thursday. And let's see if this application can be justified with all of the things that have gone on through here. I will not only go there, but I will go to the freeholders myself when they have their meeting to put a kibosh on this. Thank you.
Andre De Garnou?
Reminds me of the good old days when we used to get out of here 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Feels good.
Hi, my name's Andre DeGarmo. I live 34 Porter Road. Also have a business on Maxim Southern Road, 1424 Highland Kennels. I'm completely opposed to this, as everybody else who's stepped up to the microphone has. And Mr. Walsh, I appreciate your passion in expressing how you feel about it. The air quality, the noise, it's all, I'm going to be reiterating what everybody else has said. Now, on my business property, I have a cell tower, and there's wetlands behind the property, and we were subject to certain setbacks from the wetlands. And one of the things that we learned were that there are endangered species in these woods. There are gray owl, there are tree frogs, and I don't see this property over on Randolph Road as being any different. So I'd like to make sure that if the DEP, which I've heard the name kicked up many, many times here tonight, all right, they're in charge of that we're going to have the 150-foot setbacks from the wetlands, not just 50-foot like they're allowed without endangered species. I mean, I don't know why they want to load up Randolph Road. The other thing I haven't heard mentioned tonight, we've got Oak Knolls Office Park that they want to put in there. At the other end of Oak Glen, on 547 in Oak Glen, they want to put in a towing company now. I mean, it seems like we're loading up this one section of town with all these industrial uses. And I've got quite a nice house, I'd like to think, down on Porter Road. And many of my neighbors have $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 houses back there. And, you know, it's not like these are 800 square foot chicken shacks that people are living in.
And the ones that do, God bless them too.
You know, my business property, I've been here 40 years this year. My home over on Porter Road, I've been here since 2000, so 18 years now. I hope that we can do something to enforce the quality of life here. I mean, we're being told that our hands are tied, we can't do anything. There has to be something that can be done. Whether the town has to form a class action lawsuit and sue to stop it, whatever the case may be, there has to be something. There can't just be nothing.
I agree, this needs to be the beginning. Unless we get a verdict that's in the town's favor, this, I hope for everybody's sake, isn't the end. That's all.
I can't make Thursday night, so I hope that somebody on my behalf will mention about the gray owls and tree frogs and things. That if they got to matter for me, they should matter for this project as well. Okay. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Elaine Taylor? Mr. August, just, we have one person in front of you.
Elaine Taylor, Maxim Southern Road. Everyone said a whole lot so far, so, you know, I think it's very important that the Bricktown Water Company is informed about this, because, like someone had mentioned before, the water will become contaminated, and that water flows into the Bricktown Reservoir, and I think that the public should know about that, and I think everyone should contact them and let them know it. I'm also wondering why all of these trucks can't take their stuff to Mazza. I do. I take all my stuff to Mazza. What's the problem? I think it's, you know, it's a no-brainer. It's all set up. It's simple. It's around the corner. And they do it really well. And if anybody wants to see what this project's going to look like, go check out Mazza, because that's what it's going to look like. I also, you mentioned about the solar generating station on the old landfill. Could you tell me who's going to benefit from that? Would you happen to know who would benefit from the generation, the power that's generated at that location?
It goes right into the grid.
Right into the grid, okay. And I would just like, for when you do write your legislation, that you not call it a farm, because it is not a farm. It is a solar generating station. It is not a solar farm. It has nothing to do with farming. And once again, someone talked about the corridor of 547 and how congested it is already with people traveling from Lakewood to 195, and that it cannot handle all of the trucks that would be traveling on there, and it might cause serious accidents. So that's all I have to say on the subject. Thank you.
Larry August.
You people are very tough. You people are very tough.
Why is that?
It's past my bedtime. I don't know where to begin, so let me start. That'll be the beginning. The longest journey is taken with the first step. So, being dyslexic, I'm going to go in reverse. I'm going to address this gentleman in reverse regards to where does all this garbage go. At a point in my life, I drove tractor trailer.
Gotta speak into the mic so I won't pick it up.
I drove tractor trailer at a point in my life. And I hauled from the transfer station in New York City to a wonderful community in North Carolina called Manassas. He's addressing where is that stuff going to go, in some bottomless pit? No, it goes to a place like Manassas. Beautiful farm country until you get close to the huge mountain of garbage in Manassas, North Carolina. So if you're looking to buy and get out of Jersey and buy property in North Carolina, don't go to Manassas. So now we've done that part. We'll talk about the transfer station itself, something that many people don't know. Transfer station has all this garbage that's brought in and it's dumped. And there's poor souls who sort it by hand. Then it goes into a conveyor belt. And then when it goes into a conveyor belt, it gets dumped into a bottomless pit and pushed in with a bulldozer. And they make big bales, this transfer station. They make big bales and they put it, and sometimes on a flatbed and tarp it. And sometimes they just put it in a van. These bales weigh 4,000 to 6,000 pounds. And these trucks always running overloaded because they want to make money. And they're going to run overloaded to make money down Squonkam Road. That's a beautiful name, but I'm pretty sure that the Indians wouldn't want Squonkam Road back. I'm looking at this disaster that these people are proposing. They must be out of their gourd to think that the wonderful people in Howell Township are going to allow it. No more so the wonderful people in Howell Township are going to allow it. And the one thing that Ellen brought up was transfer station. If you want to know what it's going to look like, if you want to know what they're going to look like on Randolph Road, hop in your pickup truck. Go to Manassas. That's the same thing they're going to put up.
Where's Manassas, sir? I really don't know.
Manassas is on Wyckoff Road, and they're on the opposite side of the landfill.
Okay.
And if you flew over in a small plane, in my case, a little helicopter, and you look down and you've seen all this, whoa. And one of the things that is not being addressed, everybody's talking about fish and birds and all this. Well, I want to tell you something, and I'm going to ask you a question, but I'm going to answer it for you. What is the difference between endangered species and extinct? Well, the difference is an endangered species can still be saved. Now, the endangered species on Oak Glen Road is the little box turtle. And on Randolph Road, little box turtle. They're endangered. And if we prevent them from doing this, we save not only the turtles, but a lot of other things. And on my property, there is a great horned owl in a pine tree, right in the middle of it. And now, is he an endangered species? Absolutely. And he's on my property. I'm looking at this disaster that these people want to propose. Now, I have one God, Jesus Christ. But these people, they worship Benjamin Franklin. Period. And I appreciate your candor. Keep it up. I'll be here Thursday.
I'll be here with you.
And God bless each and every one of you and all these wonderful people that attended. I hope whatever I said put a plus in. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Now it's milk and cookies.
Where we going?
Home. Thank you.
There is no one else on the list. Does anybody else want to come up?
My name is Lorraine Trenery. I live on Laurel Crest Drive. I just want to say, first of all, I'm not a public speaker, so forgive me if I stutter or whatever. I am opposed to the transfer station, just like everyone here. I came tonight to see what was going on, but as I was here, I developed some thoughts, and I thought, I have been at other meetings, affordable housing or whatever, and the message that's coming through is, as it was said over here, there's nothing we can do. If we have to do this, they're telling us we have to do this. And my thought was, we have elected leaders, and perhaps when these things come up, when this transfer station was first proposed, if our leaders could contact us some way and say, look, this is what they're proposing. If you could give us ideas as to what we can do as a community to stop this before it even gets to the point where it is now. That's what we look to our leaders for. I appreciate everything that you do, but maybe we need to be proactive, and maybe you can help us. With that in mind, Mr. Nicastro,
Yes, ma'am.
I was very disappointed, and I think that the rest of the crowd was. We came to our leaders, and I think there is a chain of command that people think we need to follow. You have heard from the people of the community. We have come to you expressing our feelings, and for you to say, I'm not going to forward that, I would expect that anyone who's going to be here Thursday night would come prepared. This is what our citizens, our community has expressed to us. And I would hope that you might reconsider that and somehow give our voice and represent us that way. That was what you were elected for. We're willing to work with you. And the last thing that I would like to say is, again, if we could have some kind of a notification, some kind of a consideration that we could do throughout our community to let people know. It's a big community, and I know that there's Facebook, but many people aren't on it. You know, to let people know, look, they're proposing this. This is not good for us. Let us know before it's too late. I mean, are they going to make a vote on Thursday as to this? If so, really, what we have to say, does it mean anything? with my heart, I can't believe it. So maybe in the future, we'll do what we can for this, but let's be prepared for the things coming down the road and maybe come up with a plan to be more involved as an entire community. And as somebody brought up before, notify Brick, notify Tom's River. Together, maybe we can fight these things. Thank you.
If you want to speak, you could come up, and there's a line, actually.
Good evening, Joan Osborne, 28 Bronia Street, Howell. I just had a couple questions. Unfortunately, I didn't have the time to look at the zoning code, but do we have a zone that this use would be permitted in? There is none at all. Okay. Do you know if any type of need analysis has been done with regard to how many there are in the county already? I mean, is this something that there's an unfilled need for? Does anyone know the answer to that?
That's what SWAC does.
Would they determine if there's a need?
That's correct.
Okay. Have
Good
they
question,
given-
though, do they have an analysis?
Yeah, did
That's
they
a good
provide that
question.
analysis? Do we know?
There's a statewide solid waste plan, and SWAC is in charge with, let's say, implementing or reviewing the local portion of that plan. The DEP is the one that oversees the entire plan, solid waste management plan.
Okay, so as part of this application, they have to show that there's some unmet need?
Yes, I would believe so.
Okay. Do we know if in this area of the town or in conjunction with Ocean County, is there an unmet need? Are there enough facilities around already? Is that a way that we could also fight this?
I really don't know the answer. I mean, I think more is to be revealed. But I think what you're saying is one of the avenues that we may end up having to go down. Thursday night, I believe, is more of a informational, because they can only make a recommendation to the freeholders. I'm right about the process. Okay? The process was explained to me, but I was in a little bit of a fury when it was being explained to me. So I'm not going to tell you I heard very well. But I believe they will make a recommendation to the freeholders. The freeholders will vote on whether it should be put into the plan.
Okay.
Okay?
Now, I understand that back in August or July, when that issue came up, a bunch of people went to the freeholder meeting and they pulled this from the agenda. Is it accurate to say that since that time, nothing has been done with this application? There's no change to it whatsoever?
That's correct.
They're just coming back now with the same plan?
That's correct.
Okay, well, my concern with it has to do with the traffic, and I would ask that the town be more proactive, because I don't think that an addition of a lane or a light is going to solve the issue. Ramtown has very few ways to get into it or out of it. At certain times of day, it's really a nightmare in those areas, and this is one of those areas. But my bigger concern is, we have a high school where pretty much all the seniors and even many juniors drive their own cars. And they're going to be on the road with these huge trucks who are in a hurry to get this drop off and get to the next place and do another. So this is really not going to be handled by just, a limited turn lane and a light. It really needs to not be where they have it. And I think that point needs to be made very strongly at the next meeting. Thank you.
Paul Rayberger, 147 Arnold Boulevard. I've been in here in the past numerous occasions. We already have a major problem with trucks on that road. The trucks turn from Lakewood Allenwood Road onto my road. I believe, and Mr. Herman's familiar with this too, I believe you need a 35-foot turning radius. There's only a 5-foot turning radius. These trucks are going head-on into the school buses. There's school buses loaded with little kids coming up this road. I've seen 60-foot tanker trucks loaded with jet fuel going to the Lakewood Airport, trying to make that turn, head-on into school buses. School buses are loaded six in a row, nowhere to go. and it's just a matter of it's gonna be a disaster. I've requested it numerous times. They sent the Howell Township Police Department out there. All they do is play games. The last time they went out there, they
That's
wanted
not
to
fair,
race.
sir, but that's not fair to say, please.
Well, every time they went out there, they lied about the number of trucks on the road.
Wait a minute.
The last time,
That's an accusation that's not fair.
I
It's not
came
fair.
in here over a year ago. I brought in maps. I showed everybody exactly what was going on. I had pictures. The guy went out there and wanted to raise the speed limit. Did absolutely nothing. I mean, what are we gonna wait for? Another disaster? The road was approved 10 years ago for a no passing zone. Somebody over at the Howell Township Police Department dropped the ball. They made it back into a passing zone. I'm calling these guys.
They haven't straightened that out yet. I thought the decision was made.
No, they put it back, but
been done for
unfortunately,
years.
unfortunately,
It's been
after
changed for
two
years.
little girls got killed.
It's been changed for years, Jim?
And so was the speed limit. And unfortunately, the speed limit was dropped to a 35, and it should unfortunately go up.
I
So-
disagree with that. I totally disagree with that.
Which is why we're not doing anything, because if we have to follow, right, the DOT guidelines, they're gonna raise.
I disagree with that. That's not what the statute says.
Okay,
It goes by the amount of residential property on the road
that's one of the factors, correct.
for a 35-mile-an-hour speed zone. These guys put it at 50. I almost lost my own daughter on that road because of them.
That doesn't make sense. They put our road down to 35 miles an hour, and I know Arnold Road has more traffic than our road, although ours has plenty, believe me.
I had the Department of Transportation sent all this stuff to me. The road met the criteria for a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. They put it at 50. There was cars sliding off the end of the road. My daughter almost got killed. Another kid almost got killed because the cars are coming so fast they couldn't even stop anymore. Now they want to put more traffic on this road? One other thing I'd like to say too I've been working on construction sites for 40 years. And if anybody thinks that all that goes is them dumpsters is construction debris, they're wrong. I've seen car batteries go in there, open bottles of muriatic acid, paint thinners, oil-based paints. I've seen everything go in there. It's not as cut as dry as they're making it out to be. And all that stuff is gonna get into the groundwater. I guarantee you.
Well, we agree with you, so if you would be here on Thursday, you could voice your opinion.
But I'm already worried about what's going on. Right now, I already got a major problem. I got a 6-year-old in the house. These guys are running up and down the road, speeding. I know the trucks are overloaded. I got a 6-year-old who's afraid to come to the front of the house. There's little kids up and down the road. They're all terrorized, and nobody's doing nothing about it. Nobody did nothing about it when I kept telling the police department. I'm faxing them memos over there. I'm leaving messages with the chief. I said, something bad's gonna happen. You got people speeding, everybody passing. Sure enough, head-on collision. 2 little girls laying on the side of the road. 6 months before even they realized one of them was even gonna live. And now we got tanker trucks, 60-foot tanker trucks going head-on into school buses. And all this guy, they sent this guy from the police department down there. All he wants to do is raise the speed limit illegally.
Nobody's raising the speed limit illegally.
Well, what about the trucks? Are we gonna wait for another disaster? I mean, if anybody is interested in seeing what's going on, I'll be more than happy to take you on a tour. I had the Monmouth County Road Department out there looking at it. They had the whole thing figured out in 15 minutes. They're using it as a cut-through instead of staying on the 2 county roads. So, it's up to you. Believe me when I tell you, it's not a question if it's gonna happen. It's just a question of when it's gonna happen. That's all I gotta say.
I'm Robert Johnson, 757 Oakland Road. What a nightmare. Some of the things I thought about when I first understood what was gonna happen. Does anybody have a clue that that property it's a little over 10 acres, and you're gonna put a 20,000 square foot building on there, 25,000 square foot building? Mr. Herman, can I ask you, is that gonna accommodate more than a few trucks at a time? Because these 50-foot garbage trucks, on the average, how many trucks can that property accommodate? Because I gotta tell you something, they will block Squonkam Road. They will be hanging out in the road like some of the other facilities, and they're gonna start blocking they're gonna block Squonkam Road. And you guys, the traffic starts at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then the other thing I want to say is, if anybody noticed, Lakewood actually uses Randolph Road as a cut-through. I don't know if anybody noticed that.
All the time.
My concern is, I farmed a lot of acreage for a lot of years. We're talking like 10 acres there. That's nothing. And you're going to put a huge building in there. My brother, they're all truck drivers. My brother's wife's a truck driver. They've got big Peterbilts. And let me tell you, these garbage trucks are no joke. They're most of them are over 40 to 50 foot long. And I don't see anybody sitting there waiting to be dumped. They're going to be sitting out in the street waiting to go in. That property is way too small. The township should recognize the size of that property being way too small for this facility.
So Councilwoman Pauline Smith someone else has said that.
Okay.
And she said this is an important point to bring up on Thursday.
Okay, well, I think everybody's missing that point, because I could tell you the nightmare that's going to happen right before our very eyes. It's not only going to be my house, it's going to be everybody trying to get home at night. They got nowhere to go with those trucks. That property is absolutely way too small to accommodate. I saw the plan of the building and their little entrance in, their little entrance out. You start parking garbage trucks in there for 10, 20 minutes, they're going to be all over the place. This is going to be a nightmare waiting to happen. Just because somebody wants to financially gain. I spent my whole life paying off my mortgage and everything just to see my property value go down. I'm terrified, to be honest with you. And I know a lot of people, there's going to be a lot of accidents out on 547. I sure hate to see people backed up on the highway. Thank you.
Is there anybody among our consulting engineering companies that we can have come in and testify? Because this scares me to death. I know that's going to be a big problem. Where are they going to put those trucks? Anybody that has the qualifications that we can get to do this within 2 days and can testify before SWAC that it's not going to work with that small a piece of property.
So we already did that, and we wrote review letters and made them change the entire plan just because they had a short entrance originally, like everyone's concerned about, which it came right off of Randolph Road.
How many of those, if they got back to you, Jim, how many of those trucks fit on
So
the site?
they will testify to that, I'm sure, on Thursday. I believe the last time we spoke, they would stack 25 trucks in the entrance lane. They have an entrance lane on site that you are going to use across the entire front of the site,
25
just
trucks.
for that.
25 trucks. 25 50-foot trucks in an entrance lane.
Correct.
Well,
The property is 11 acres. Do you know how big 11 acres is? Okay. The tower's going to stay, everything else is going to go, and it'll be a totally revised site. But trucks are, you're talking 10 acres of property. Do you know how big 10 acres is? Right. So 10 acres. Okay. Okay. Well, look. To fit 25 trucks on 10 acres, they have more than 25 trucks there now. Have you ever been past the site? You know how many trucks are there? Oh, I'm telling you. Okay. I'm not gonna argue, Mayor, with the group. What I'm saying is this has been done. We have hired CME, our planning board engineer, to do this a year and a half ago because we wanted to make sure that we would get the most comprehensive review of the site that would be done, and they did that.
I'm sorry, but there is someone speaking. If you want to hear what he has to say, well, if you don't want to hear what he has to say, we can end the meeting. Thank you.
I'm done.
Mayor, I just recently had to do something for my development, and I'd like to tell it to you and them. We had, as you know, this proposed shopping center. Part of the applicant's site plans is a vehicle circulation plan. When you put delivery trucks on, and please listen to me, everybody, when you put delivery trucks on, they're not talking anymore about 30-foot trucks. They're driving now 53-foot trucks, 60-foot trucks, and the vehicle circulation plans have to accommodate these trucks. But what you guys need to do is, if you got any type of an engineer, you have to call, like you say, Ford, Mack, Peterbilt, and any one of these people that makes these huge trucks, and you must get the vehicle circulation template. Everybody, every one of these trucks has a vehicle turning radius template as to what it's going to take to get this truck out of wherever it's coming in and out of and get it turned around so it can go safely in and around. And if the turning radius template of any one of these trucks from any one of these companies can't make the cut turn in or out, then they can't do this. And these trucks can't come in here because chances are, if they drive these monstrosities and they can't make the turning radius template, which every one of these companies has, I actually had to do it.
Ms. Dixell, if I could just interrupt, the applicant's already provided that. We did request that back with the original application.
And these people need to get an
And that was
engineer
provided
and get
for-
up here and testify, all of you.
That was provided for a 62
I understand.
WB 62 tractor trailer, which is a normal application in front, that comes in front of the planning board or anything else. That's what we made them use to make sure they could access the
Mr.
site.
Herman, I respect your comment, but these people live there. Don't call up Peterbilt, Ford, anybody. They have to be able to give you the turning radius template of any one of these trucks to get in the vehicle circulation plan, and if they can't, they shouldn't be there, because chances are they're gonna go through somebody's house. Thank you.
Or is it a school bus? All you gotta do is come out tomorrow to see what a turning radius is.
Is anybody coming up to the microphone?
Hi, Madam Mayor. I'm pretty new to Howell.
If you would state your name and address,
My name is
please.
Natchman Pearl, 21 Larrabee Boulevard. I think everyone explained themselves pretty clearly why they don't want it. I myself, I lived in Lakewood for 27 years. I left Lakewood because I wanted not the condensed neighborhoods. I left because I didn't want the noise, I didn't want all the traffic, save dollar to dollar. Me and my wife, who worked very hard, we bought a house on Larrabee Boulevard for that purpose, a little peace and quiet. We hope that Howell will stand its ground on development and all that stuff that shouldn't turn into another Lakewood. My question is as follows. I'm hearing two things. I'm hearing from Mr. Herman, sounds like a very intelligent fellow, all the plans that they're making them submit to make this plan work, so call it. On the other hand, I'm hearing from the mayor, council, that you're opposed to it. My question is, at the same time, we're hearing that there's nothing really we could do. There's nothing the township could do to stop this. We're not in charge, we're the small people, and we get beat up. The big boys are the ones that decide. I don't know, I'm not so familiar with all the laws and all procedure, audiences, and all these things, zoning and everything. My question is one thing. Is there really nothing that the township could do? Is the mayor, is the council ready to really fight for this? Or is it ending just with letters and recommendations and that type of thing? Is the township ready to go ahead and file all the lawsuits and really fight for the residents? Or is it gonna end by letters and SWAC and that's it? That's my question.
I would,
On what grounds would we sue? If Mr. Herman says they've already done the circulation plan and it works, that would be an argument.
So that's why I said in the beginning, I'm not, you all are very educated people, very smart people, I can't say that about myself. But I have seen other townships that have gone great lengths to stop things that they don't want. I know there's a township
We've
not
never
far
heard.
from here, which is now involved with the DOJ because of that.
So
right?
are we.
And,
We're not, nobody's alone, okay?
okay, great.
Nobody's
I'm very
alone.
happy to hear that. My question is, I don't know all the procedures, and I don't know all the ways, and I don't know how you could change zonings, but I'm not sure, but I really imagine that there's ways to really fight for this and really put up a real fight. Is the mayor and the council ready to do that? Which means if I start Googling and I find out there's a way to do it, and I come and present it, are you ready to actually go ahead with it? Or rather, you're not getting involved because this is not your fight?
In this form of government, it takes 3 votes of the governing body to go forwards and give direction to the manager and the professionals. So if you tell me that there's really a way to fight this, I can only guarantee you 1 vote, my own.
I'll second that.
That's all I
I'm sure
can do.
you have 5 if there was a.
You know? But everybody's gonna have to understand, if we go as far as we can, it is gonna cost a lot of tax dollars. Lawsuits are not cheap.
Yeah, but right now, my tax just went up, and it's probably
Hold
going to
on.
keep on going up.
Hold on,
And
just say, it. Hold on, please. If you ask a question, let me answer it. If you don't want to hear the answer, I'm gonna have other people during the budget meetings in the next 60 days come here and say, we don't care what happens, we don't want our taxes being raised. We're gonna have that over the next 60 days, mind you. Now, mind you, they don't want to put a waste transfer station next to them. If they did, they wouldn't mind your taxes being raised to fight the waste transfer station. But there is a balance, okay? So you're just asking a simple question that really only deserves a simple answer. And I will tell you this, that I'll vote for it whether it raises taxes, how much it costs, because I understand this. I've been up here 13 years. The people of Howell Township overall don't want this. That's the bottom line at the end of the day. And I don't believe that the people of Howell Township should have no say in what goes on in the town they live in. So, I'll do it.
question is, I see there's a lot of, looks like very smart, educated professionals sitting right here.
Not me.
My question is are you going to proactively look into every way possible to stop this? Is it being looked into every way possible?
Just from what I'm sensing, clearly you must know something that we don't know. The answer is yes. Okay, we're going through the procedures, but if you're insinuating something or you know something, please let us know, share it.
The answer to that question is very clearly, I do not.
Okay.
I do not, but I'm just asking to, be comfortable and to know that the smart, educated professionals, our representatives, are doing so. That's all.
Oh, let us in now, we're laymen. We have different other walks of life.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening. Joanne DeLeo, 10 Station Place. Now, 10 Station Place used to have 3 homes on it, and in the spring, it fell victim to a paving drainage project where they removed my street, and we had a triangular piece of property in front of our homes, and our driveways are now on 547. Like, we are right on 547. This is directly across the street from where you're proposing this.
We are not proposing it.
All right, where it's being proposed. There are residences there. People live there, children live there, and we're right there across the street from it. The traffic, the roads aren't going to be able to take it. Getting home from work is a nightmare coming over that 195 overpass, funneling in down 547, down Squonkam, which is a thoroughfare to get into Lakewood. So already the traffic has increased tremendously in the 18, 19 years that I've lived there. I used to come right over, come down, come home from work, fine. I sit in traffic there now every single day. People are cutting down the shoulders, cutting around because nobody wants to merge. Everyone's cutting each other off. It's horrible. I can't imagine adding any more traffic to this situation. And then you're driving down Squonkam Road. There's no shoulders anywhere. I've never been able to ride my bike around town because there's no shoulders, and when there's no shoulders, there's trenches for drainage. So you have single lane roads going, one direction, north, south. There's nowhere to go. The roads can't handle any of this. And if they think that putting in a light at the corner of Randolph is going to ease any of this, it's crazy. I don't even understand how they propose to do any of this. But I'm just so disgusted because I live right there.
Argument. Our roads can't handle the traffic. That's our
And the other half of the argument is I hear people, I live on Vienna, I live on Oak Glen, and I appreciate that. And I do hear their vehicles across the street now, just with the recycling now and then, and it's not that big of a deal here and there. I can't imagine having a concrete crusher across the street from my house. This, unbelievable. There are people that live there. You're not talking about an industrial complex. There's residential area that they're putting this in. Thank you, I'm sorry.
Thank you, sir.
Sandra Solly, Birdsall Road, Farmingdale. I wanted to say the only reason that I knew about this plan was because the reporter for the Asbury Park Press, who covers the county, was there that night when this meeting was being held for the first time. Suzanne Cervenka, she had the story in the Asbury Park Press, and another lady mentioned that they saw it in the Star Ledger. That's why we found out. Not because the town said anything, but because it was in the Asbury Park Press, which some people don't approve of, but I do. Now, somebody else mentioned Mazza. Mazza just applied to have a proposed amendment to the Monmouth County District Solid Waste Management Plan. They want to increase the volume of Class A recyclables, which they accept. Class A recyclables are defined as source-separated, non-putrid recyclable material consisting of metal, glass, paper, plastic containers, and corrugated and other cardboard. This material is not processed at this facility in any way. It is simply temporarily stored on site and transferred to a different facility out of the area, which is capable of processing the material further for marketing domestically and internationally. Class A recycling facilities are not permitted by the New Jersey Department of Transportation, DEP. Now, Mazza has 52 acres. They've been there a long, long time. They also have a very long driveway where you don't get stuck on Wyckoff Road. So Freehold Cartage also wants to increase their capacity to a solid waste facility. And I don't understand why this business wants to put it on 10 acres when Tilton's, a junkyard years ago, closed down. That's still sitting there empty. If they want a dump site that bad, they can go buy Tilton's and use it. Right?
Yeah, you're right. It's county road. It's on a county road.
That's right. Doesn't belong here, not for these poor people that are living there. And why did the town rezone that SED? If you knew people lived in there, why did you zone it SED?
How long ago? I mean, I'm just asking a question.
I don't know how long ago. It's SED, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know, hold on, I don't know.
it is.
It is SED, I believe.
Yeah, but how long has it been SED? I mean, Arnold Steele's been there how many years?
That doesn't mean they were there because of SED.
It wasn't residential when Arnold Steele got put there, I don't think.
They've been there a long time.
Oh, that's what I just said.
Pre-existing
I would say
non-conforming.
about 15, 20 years in SED.
Yeah, I just said, that's all. I'm just, yeah, I don't know the answer.
Well, I'm just saying. Arnold Steele's been there a long time. They were in here. I think they've been there for 40 years.
And I heard 15, 20, I
I'm
don't
talking
know,
about Arnold
40.
Steele.
What?
Arnold Steele's been there for 40 years.
Okay, I don't know personally.
I've been there for 35.
So that's my question. Why on this corner? And I've seen the traffic on Squonkam Road, 547, coming out of Lakewood going up to Herbertsville Road. You gotta wait for 7 lights to get through, to go straight to 195. And then in the afternoon, from 3:15 to 7:15, you're backed up over the bridge to make the left-hand turn on Herbertsville Road. Now, the county wants to widen that area and add another turn lane. What are they waiting for? It's a bad spot. Who wants to get killed on the bridge for 195 when you're waiting for all this traffic coming, zooming in to go home to Brooktown? That's all I have to say, but there's got to be more information given to people when you knew a year and a half ago about this and nobody knew until the Asbury Park Press put it in the paper. Thank you.
I will close this section of the meeting and go on back to the agenda. Anybody like to make a motion for the consent agenda?
Nobody's no conversation?
Did you want to read 9A16 into the record?
9A16.
I don't have it. Oh, wait.
It's new.
Oh, it's really.
Resolution number R18-52, a resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Howell in support of its police officers.
Excuse me, but there is still a meeting occurring? Thank you. Excuse me, sir? No, it's
No.
not.
No problem.
Thank you.
Resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Howell in support of its police officers and in recognition of the efforts of the Howell Township Police Department. Whereas the Township Council of the Township of Howell and the County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey recognizes that the dangers and difficulties faced by police departments throughout this country are on a scope never before seen. And whereas the Township Council recognizes that Howell Township Police Department, through the efforts and sacrifices of its officers and employees, maintains the safety and security of the Township of Howell and contributes in a very significant and vital way to the quality of life in our community.
Bob, give me 1 second. Excuse me in the back, I'm sorry. We don't want to interrupt you, but Mr.
And
Walsh
whereas
is
the Township
speaking.
Council supports and appreciates all the Howell Township Police Department does for the citizens and residents of the Township of Howell, and whereas the Asbury Park Press has recently drafted a series of articles, one of which singles out and sensationalizes the actions of the Howell Township Police Department and attempts to create a harmful narrative about difficult decisions made by members of the Howell Township Police Department with regard to a tragic accident. And whereas the Asbury Park Press article does an enormous disservice to the Howell Township Police Department and the Township of Howell through excessive and unsupported conjecture. And whereas the Asbury Park Press outrageous article is evidence of an agenda designed to sell newspapers through use of attention-grabbing mischaracterization and speculation. And whereas with regard to the specific incident reported upon by the Asbury Park Press, the Township of Howell previously released the following statement. The Township Police Department believed that there were valid and sustainable defenses to the allegations of the lawsuit filed in the District of New Jersey captioned Hardin et al. Versus Howell. However, an agreement to resolve the lawsuit represented a way to end the litigation, regain control over mounting legal costs, and avoid the risk of an unfounded and unreasonable jury verdict. While the Township and Police Department believe that they would ultimately prevailed, even the cost of this best-case scenario would have been far more expensive than terminating the litigation. Consequently, the Township's insurer authorized a negotiated resolution. Had the Township continued to defend against the allegations of the lawsuit, it would have done so by itself. In the unlikely event a verdict was entered against the Township or Police Department, payment of the judgment would have been with the taxpayers' money. To protect the Township and its taxpayers from mounting legal bills and a potentially fickle jury decision, the matter was resolved. The Township decision does not mean that the Township or the Police Department was in any way liable for any of the claims in the lawsuit. In fact, all Howell police officers were cleared of wrongdoing by a grand jury. The Professional Responsibilities Unit of the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office, and the Internal Affairs Unit of the Howell Police Department. Whereas in regard to the specific incident reported upon by the Asbury Park Press, the Township Council emphasizes once again that all police officers were cleared of wrongdoing by a grand jury, the Professional Responsibilities Unit of the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office, and an Internal Affairs Unit of the Howell Police Department. Whereas with regard to the specific incident reported upon by the Asbury Park Press, the Township Council emphasizes again that it was the Township insurer that wanted a negotiated resolution, and the Township did not wish to expose taxpayers to potential liability by acting contrary to the insurer's direction. Now therefore be it resolved that the Township Council, the Township of Howell, and the County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, denounces the unwarranted and unprofessional reporting by the Asbury Park Press with regard to the Howell Township Police Department. And be it further resolved, the Township Council recognizes and appreciates the demanding and difficult job done by the Howell Township Police Department. And be it further resolved, the Township stands by the Howell Township Police Department and all of its brave men and women. And be it further resolved, the Township Council is committed to the safety and welfare of our police officers and acknowledge the contributions that the Howell Township Police Department make every day to the health, safety, and welfare of our community. I'd like to make a motion to approve 9A1 through 9A16 and 9B1 through 9B7.
Second.
Okay, Councilman, and you'll make recommendations for the boards and committees. We'll handle 9B6 separately.
Okay, 9B1 through 9B5 and 9B7.
Okay. Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
9B6, do we have anything we want to put in for the appointments in the Lake Restoration and Wildlife?
I did a cover memo that just states that the applications that we have on file. So there is one application for lake restoration.
For an alternate 3, unexpired 5-year term,
Correct.
and the application is by Eugene, is
James.
that Eugene Libertucci?
No, James Stabola. Councilman, look at, if you refer to the memo, it just outlines each of the, go back a few
Okay.
pages.
I got James Stavola here on Farmworth Close,
Good.
the Township of Howell. Make a motion, we appoint James Stavola to Lake
Second.
Restoration.
You want to do them all? And then we'll make one
Well,
motion?
That's the one for there.
Okay.
I made a motion.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
Mobile home rent control, alternate member, non-tenant, 1-year term, expires 12/31/18. Make a motion, is this it here, Gabriella Gugliotti Combs?
Right, correct.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
The Municipal Alliance, didn't we already appoint Daniel Reagan? But if not, I'll make a motion that we appoint Daniel Reagan to the Alliance.
I thought we did.
I thought we did also. I make a motion, we appoint him.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yep.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
And last but definitely not least, who do we have here?
Shade tree.
For the shade tree? Is this the
That's
last one?
That's Eugene.
I make a
Thomas
motion, we
O'Donnell put in for it.
appoint Eugene Libertucci?
He put in, you already appointed him to Lake Restoration.
He's already there?
Yeah, Eugene's, like, yes.
Well, who we got for the shade tree here?
Tom O'Donnell.
Tom O'Donnell, fine young man. I'd like to make a motion, we appoint Tom O'Donnell.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Absent.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
Rest is on you, Mayor. Oh, no.
The rest is on me.
We got a little work to do.
Yeah, 11.1.
Motion to introduce ordinance number O-18-1 on first reading by title in order the same to be published in the 12618 issue of the Asbury Park Press, together with notice of its introduction and passes on first reading by title. That will be further considered for final passage of the public hearing in the meeting of the Township Council to be held on 2/6/18 at 7:30 PM prevailing time in the municipal building.
Second. Oh, I'm sorry.
Name of ordinance. Ordinance of the Township of Howell, County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, authorizing the private sale of Block 228, Lot 5 in the Township of Howell, County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, pursuant to NJSA 40A:12-1. Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. Is there any unfinished business to discuss? Any other information to give out? The next meeting dates are this Thursday, January 25th, the SWAC. The regular meeting on February 2nd, 2018, executive at 6:30, regular session at 7:30, and February 20th, executive session at 6:30, regular session at 7:30. That being said, everyone have a good evening.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
No, I want to stick around.
Okay, Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
I'm staying with him.
So I lost that vote?
No, you're in like Flynn.